I will never forget the phone call. It's January 27th, 2016, and I'm traveling to my new home in Dallas, Texas, from the Northeast where I've lived my whole life. And I'm worried. Not about moving. I'm worried about my mom. She has this weakness in her right leg, like a limp. And doctor after doctor, no one's quite sure what's wrong. But my parents, they found a new doctor. And they might have some answers. And that appointment was today. I pick up the phone. I can barely understand my dad through the tears. And my mom is sobbing in the background. What is going on? This has got to be like a limp or sciatica, right? But no, the diagnosis, ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. ALS is a neurological disorder that prevents the brain from telling the body to move its muscles. It starts without being able to walk or talk, and eventually not being able to breathe. We hear a lot more about its sister diseases, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, because ALS, it affects less than a fraction of 1% of the population. We are devastated and desperate for answers. There has to be a treatment or a cure, right? We go looking to charitable organizations for help, and they were great with everything my mom needed as the disease progressed and her mobility decreased. Walkers, wheelchairs, stair lifts. Some of this thanks to the Ice Bucket Challenge, some of you may remember. That brought a lot of money and awareness to ALS. But there's no treatment, and there's no cure. My family was now on the receiving end of charity, and I was used to being on the giving side. You see, as a young adult, I believed the primary way for me to give back was to donate my time or my money to charity. So I did, and I still do. But did you know, in 2020, the amount of annual charitable giving in the US, it was $471 billion. It's a lot of money. It's awesome. But that's equivalent to only about 1% of the value of the US stock market. If we want to affect significant change, we have to look not just at nonprofit companies and place the burden all on them. We have to look at innovative for-profit companies too. Invest in them when they're small and help them to grow. Now, you've heard the Gandhi quote before, be the change you want to see in the world. I would hear that and I would think, yes, I want to be the change. But wait a minute, how do we do that? How can I, as one person, affect real change? Well, I discovered a way to use my time and my dollars differently. I became an angel investor. Now, some of you have seen Shark Tank before. That kind of gives you a frame of reference. But you don't have to be a billionaire and you don't have to fly in a private plane. Simply put, an angel investor is someone who uses their own money to invest in a private company. Usually an early stage company or what's better known as a startup. Now, people I talk to, they say, wait a minute, angel investing, I thought that was just for rich people or people who could get access. And for the most part, it used to be. But in 2016, the Securities and Exchange Commission, they changed the rules. And now anyone can invest in a startup company for as little as $50 through crowdfunding. Now, there's different types of crowdfunding. You may have heard of the type where you pool your money together in order to help a cause, like GoFundMe. Or maybe you purchase something prior to manufacturing, like Kickstarter. This is different. This is equity crowdfunding. This is where you invest a little bit of money and you get a small piece of ownership into the company. My journey into angel investing began about 10 years ago. I was living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and someone invited me to an angel group meeting. And I remember thinking to myself, angel investing, is that like investing in the stock market? I wasn't quite sure, but I'm intrigued. So I start going to meetings, and I am fascinated at the amount of innovation that is happening right in my own backyard. I feel a little bit like I've been living under a rock. There are so many different types of companies and technologies. I see a company working on a peat moss substitute made out of recycled newspaper that can help plant growers use less water. Cool. And I see a company that's working on a treatment for Alzheimer's disease. And I think, wait, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS. There are companies out there that are working on a treatment or even a cure for some of these horrible diseases, and I could be a part of it? I still wasn't quite sure how. Well, it turns out that anyone who's willing to invest their time, money, or expertise to help a startup company is considered an angel. Now, I know, investing. Investing is primarily with money. But entrepreneurs, they need a lot more than money. They're usually really good at their craft, their big idea. But sometimes, they're not so great at the business part. Sorry, entrepreneurs. They need help with more than just money. For example, if someone was good with operations or human resources or bookkeeping, that would be really valuable to a startup. Building a company is hard work. And as it grows, lots of jobs get created along the way, hence the need for HR. So you've heard the story before. If you give someone a fish, you feed them for a day. And if you teach someone to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. What if we could help build an entire fishing conglomerate, creating jobs and adding to the overall economic output for an entire community? That's the type of impact I'm talking about. Did you know that Google was originally funded by angel investors? And now they employ over 150,000 people. We didn't even know the word Google. And now it's a noun and a verb. The journey I've been on for the last 10 years has shifted my mind to believe that in order to be the change, I can invest in the change I want to see in the world. And along the way, I was still looking for something that could help my mom. Just wasn't finding anything. But I kept my eye on that company, the one that was working on the Alzheimer's treatment, and I eventually became an investor. And it's a great angel story. They were able to raise over $40 million from angels early on. That's a lot of angel power. That attracted bigger funders to come to the table, and in 2021, the company went public. Now, the drug still isn't on the market yet because it takes so long and so much money, but it's showing strong indications of being able to help not just Alzheimer's patients, but Parkinson's too. So much so that the Michael J. Fox Foundation gave them a second grant at the beginning of 2022. Progress. Now, one of those angel groups that was helping them early on to raise all that money, they invest only in women-led companies. Because yes, the chief scientist of that company is a woman. I was astonished to learn how little funding actually goes to female founders. According to Bloomberg, in 2021, the amount of early stage investing dollars that went to women was less than 3%. Okay, so wait, women, roughly 50% of the population? And you're telling me they only have 3% of the good ideas? I don't think so. So how do we change this? We need more people to get involved. We need more angels. We're not going to change the amount of funding going to any founder, especially underrepresented founders like women and people of color, until we get more people involved in making the investment decisions. Ideas come from everywhere. You too could be an investor. So how do you get started? Well, you could go to Google and Google, remember, noun and a verb, startup events in, and then just fill in your city or town. Or you could go to an equity crowdfunding site and start exploring the companies that interest you. Remember the company working on the peat moss substitute? They went onto an equity crowdfunding site and were able to raise over $700,000, allowing many of their customers to become investors. Maybe there's a product or service that you use and love, and you too could become an investor. We can do good while doing well. Donating to charity is not the only way to do good. And traditional investing, well, that's not the only way to do well. We can invest our time, our money, and get emotional rewards and financial rewards. If that company could actually stop or even reverse some of these horrible diseases like Alzheimer's Parkinson's, and ALS? As an investor, I would feel amazing knowing I was part of making such a positive impact. And these companies, they can produce financial returns too. But we have to surround them with the right support and adequate funding. Creating change is the responsibility of all of us. Imagine if everyone invested just a little bit of time, money, or expertise to help a young company. Imagine the change we could see in the world. A change that could even save the life of someone you love. Thank you.